Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the Ozark Season 4, the final season of Ozark Part 1, official trailer that came out. If you haven't seen it already, I'll include a link to it in the description down below. But a lot of really interesting things. First and foremost, I love that Wendy and Marty are sent to be the messengers. It's like, oh, Darlene, we got a message for you. The Navarro cartel, they found out you're doing they're selling heroin again, so they're gonna hit you fast and it's gonna be brutal. And Darlene's kind of smiling, and I love that because it's almost like, right, really? And it's like, oh, like, stop acting like you're doing us a favor, you know. And I even love Wendy being like, we're you know, once again, it's just when Wendy does the thing she does, she just kind of like smiles, like she puts on this smile and just kind of like, oh, we're just the messengers. And Marty's always on this pretty stone face, and I always think it's just an interesting contrast between their characters and just like also like just the what the characters themselves, but also like the acting related to it, of just like how like it seems like Wendy puts up a front whereas Marty doesn't. It's such an interesting thing. But obviously them finding out that Ruth is working with Darlene, can't forget about Wyatt, because you can't forget about that whole relationship thing between them, which I'm like, that's still weird, a little wild, but at the same time it's like, right, Wyatt's lost a lot, Darlene kind of lost a lot, she's kind of been responsible for some of what she lost, but still it's a situation of they lost a lot and they bonded through that trauma to some extent, which I guess arguably you can make the argument the same thing for Ruth. I mean, not only did she lose her dad, despite how complicated their relationship is, it was Ben as well. I mean, to be fair, they all lost someone because of the Bird family. I never really thought about, I don't think I really thought about that last season. Maybe I did, but I think it's really hitting me now. Like, yeah, like they're united in, yeah, if the Birds had never come to the Ozark, then we wouldn't be here right now. Like, you guys brought so much turmoil to our life. And I think that's a really complicated thing with Ruth, because for Ruth, it's like, you gave me something more in other regards, but because you hurt me in situations when it comes to my dad, when it comes to Ben, that you took a lot from me. Because even later on, Marty's like, don't get yourself killed, and she's like you care. Like, and the sad thing is they do, because Ruth is like a daughter to them, but it is a situation where, especially last season, especially for Ruth, she kind of felt like unappreciated. But it's like, we've done so much for you because we care about for you. I mean, Wendy, you know, I mean, her dad was a combination of many different things. He was already an issue, but it's also like, right, you know, Ruth is way better off without him. That was like Wendy's justification, like added on top of it. Like I said, there was already reasons for him to be gone. You just add in like, oh, Wendy would be better off without him too. So, I mean, that Ruth would be better off without him. But I like this main overarching storyline because I didn't know what to really expect when we come into season 4, and it turns out Navarro himself is like, cool, I'm gonna use your celebrity because basically I won out the game. Which, first and foremost, when he said celebrity, I thought at first he was kind of referencing like maybe with amongst the others in the cartel, oh, what you guys have been able to accomplish and do. Like, a lot of people in this cartel game looking up to you, being like, wow, you guys are good. But I think he's specifically referencing their connections in the U.S., specifically in the Ozarks, because like I said, he wants out. He wants to deal with the FBI. He wants to be able to move to the U.S. with no issues, no fear of retaliation through like assassinations or being arrested. And this is where the Maya card comes into play, which I wasn't sure how that was going to play out, but especially because Navarro's like, if you do this, your debt to me is cleared. We're done. Because it's always been one thing after another. But that's always the thing, too. That's the rub of it all. It's like, how can you be sure that this will be the end? And even if Navarro tries to run, will anyone actually let him? I mean, sure, it's going to be hush-hush to the rest of the gang, but I wonder if they're going to be close people he's going to tell the truth to, and it's going to slip out. Or just, are there going to be people in the Navarro cartel that are going to find out and pop him because it's like, well, we don't want to take the chance you'll rat on us. Which, even Maya's like, I can't do this because it would take a lot, because Marty was like, what would it take to make this happen? She's like, a lot more than he can offer. Because it makes sense. This type of situation, this is what someone from your cartel would have to do to get immunity to take you down. It's like, you're big time, you're at the top of the cartel, like, why would we cut you a deal? And I'm assuming maybe his part to play in this would be, hey, I could get you the entire cartel, or maybe some of my other associates that are scattered around who are maybe some higher up officials and stuff like that. Maybe that's kind of how Navarro will swing this. But I think that's such an interesting storyline At the same time, you still got the whole Jonah thing. He's now actually laundering for Ruth, which in turn makes him he's laundering for Darlene in that sense. Which he says his line of, you know she's crazy, right? Which I'm assuming he's like, my mom. If my mom finds out I'm doing this, she's going to go a little buck wild. She's going to go crazy. You already know that. But he could also have been talking about Darlene because we know she's a little crazy too. Which, side note, I should also mention, I called her something else like in my most recent watch list because I actually let Darlene's name slip my mind for a second. But regardless, it's just funny to think about. But I love how especially the trailer does a really good job of making everything surrounding Jonah very menacing, because he knows about the Ben thing. It was Helen's last middle finger. Granted, she didn't know she was about to go off to Mexico to get popped. It makes you wonder if Jonah had popped her then, like, that was mainly a spectacle, or was it at the last minute that Navarro decided to keep them around, or did he always plan to keep? It's just interesting. She thought she got away from the Jonah situation, telling the truth, and then immediately afterwards getting popped by Navarro's people. So that's definitely going to be interesting. I talked about this before. I really love that, like, the complications that the birds find themselves in. That's the problem when you become the favorite go-to people for a cartel boss. But I love that line. I think it's from Navarro himself in the trailer, saying like basically the threats you don't see coming are the ones closest at home. And obviously it seems like they're setting Jonah up to be that. Now, is it going to end up killing his parents, in particular his mom, because his mom's the one that kind of gave the go-ahead for Ben's death, but also Marty played his own part in it too, so there's kind of a little bit of element of that. So once again, he has even more ammunition and reason to join up with Darlene, Wyatt, and Ruth just because of that. Once again, other people that got screwed over, because like his Uncle Ben was like his best friend at the time, especially because like he filled that void a little bit after losing Buddy back in season 2, you know? To be fair, they've been kind of setting up this like Jonah thing for a while, kind of like his darker side throughout all of this. But I do love the text basically saying no one gets out of this clean. Like everyone's going to have some dirt on their hand by the end of this. So I mean, everyone already have, but I think hands are about to get even dirtier. I thought that was just going to be a teaser just because like, oh, it's supposed to be a metaphor, but we do have that like car crash sequence actually in the trailer. To be fair, like there was a scene from the show for season 3 trailer where Wendy pulls the gun on Marty, but that's like that's a dream, but it was very metaphorical in nature, and it fit the very theme of that season of Wendy kind of going full-blown dark side. So I'm interested to see how the birds potentially make their way through this, if they can at all. Like, I don't see this being the happily ever after, oh, like, everything's wrapped up, everything's fine. To be fair, it's a 2-parter too, so you know part 1's going to end up on a big cliffhanger, so. But obviously, these are just my thoughts. I'd love to get to know yours in the comments down below. What did you think? What are some things you expect to see from this season? What are some things you want to see? Let me know all your thoughts. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.